Welcome back, everyone. Today's deep dive is going to be pretty unique. We're going to be looking at the Islamic ritual of Aqiqah.
Aqiqah.
Yeah, Aqiqah. Imagine celebrating a new baby, but with a twist. Like, picture, I don't know, sacrifice and head shaving and, well, at least in the past, maybe even a bit of blood smearing.
Oh yeah, that historical tidbit, that always gets people interested. But really, when you look at Aqiqah, it's fascinating how it combines tradition, faith, and this sense of social responsibility all in one act.
It's pretty amazing. And what's cool is that our deep dive today is based on a voice note.
A voice note?
Yeah, can you believe it? Someone explaining Aqiqah over WhatsApp.
Wow.
It shows you how even our everyday apps can give us these glimpses into such rich cultural practices.
Yeah.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is Aqiqah?
Okay, so at its heart, Aqiqah is like this huge thank you to Allah for the gift of a new baby. It usually involves sacrificing an animal, like a sheep or a goat, and then sharing the meat. But it's not just about having a feast, you know?
Sure.
There's also a deeper spiritual element to it.
And it's important to say it's a sunnah, right? A recommended practice based on the Prophet Muhammad's teachings.
Exactly. It's not an obligation like the 5 pillars of Islam. It's encouraged, but it's also flexible because it recognizes that not everyone has the means to perform it.
Right, right. It's about making it accessible for everyone. And that social side of it is so strong. Sharing the Aqiqah meat with family and friends, and especially those in need, it's kind of like this giant thank you potluck, strengthening community bonds and spreading the joy.
You know, what's really interesting is that this practice actually goes back even further, before Islam.
Really?
Yeah. Pre-Islamic Arabs had something similar, but instead of using saffron, they would smear the baby's head with the sacrificial animal's blood.
Oh, wow. Okay. Quite a visual, right? It makes you think about how and why certain practices change over time. So we've got this beautiful ritual all about gratitude and generosity, but there's also this deeper meaning, a theological layer to it. This voice note we have, it mentions a hadith, and it says that a child is in pledge until the Aqiqah is done. What does that even mean?
Okay, so that's where it gets a little more complex.
Hmm.
Some scholars see this in pledge idea as meaning that until the Aqiqah, the child is spiritually vulnerable, maybe susceptible to the influence of, say, Shaitan. Yeah, you know, like the evil force tempting humans away from Allah's path.
So it's almost like the Aqiqah acts as a kind of spiritual protection for the child, like a welcoming into the faith and a way of safeguarding their journey.
Exactly. It's a way to solidify their bond with Allah, formally introduce them to the community, and seek those blessings for them. But we got to remember, there are different interpretations of this particular hadith.
Huh. So not everyone agrees on this whole pledge concept.
Yeah. Right. Islamic scholarship, it really encourages debate and having diverse interpretations. You have to approach these texts with a critical eye, recognizing there are multiple perspectives. It's not just about accepting one view blindly. It's about engaging in thought and reflection.
I like that. So you have this ancient origin plus this theological depth. It makes Aqiqah even more fascinating. Now, we get the why, but how about the how? What are the actual steps involved in performing an Aqiqah?
Well, this voice note gives us a decent overview, but you have to keep in mind that specifics can change depending on the culture and family traditions.
Right, of course.
Consider it more like a general framework.
Got it. So where do we start?
Well, naturally with the sacrifice, the animal slaughtered following halal rules, so it's done humanely. And then there's the head shaving.
Ah, yes, the head shaving is a very distinct part of the whole thing. What's the thinking behind it?
It's all about purification, a new beginning for the child. Kind of like hitting the reset button, wouldn't you say?
It is interesting how such a simple act can hold so much meaning. And this is where things differ for boys and girls, right? 2 sheep for a boy, 1 for a girl.
Yeah, you're right. It reflects a pattern we see in other areas of Islamic law, like inheritance. A male's share is often seen as equal to 2 females.
That's a point that could definitely spark some debate, but we'll keep our focus on the ritual today. Our source mentions that ideally, Aqiqah happens on the 7th day after birth. Is that a strict rule? What if it's not possible to do it right then?
That's where the flexibility of Islam really stands out. While day 7 is considered best, life happens. You can do Aqiqah later without any penalty, as long as the family is able to.
So it's more about intention and practicality over rigidly following the calendar. I appreciate that. There's also this touching detail about weighing the baby's hair that I'm curious about.
Oh yeah, the weighing of the hair. That's a beautiful representation of the whole spirit of Aqiqah. After the baby's head is shaved, you weigh the hair, and then you donate the equivalent amount in silver or gold to charity.
That's amazing. It's like combining a celebration with giving back to the community.
Exactly. It underscores that Aqiqah isn't just about the family celebrating, it's about social responsibility, too. It reminds us that blessings should be shared, and that taking care of the less fortunate is central to faith.
It's amazing how even a small act like that connects to these broader ideas. Now let's talk about the Aqiqah feast. What happens to all that delicious meat?
The best part. There are many ways to handle the meat, and our source emphasizes that there aren't any strict rules, which shows how adaptable this practice really is.
So more about the spirit of sharing than following a recipe.
Precisely. Some families, they go big, inviting friends, family, neighbors, everyone for a big celebration.
Like a giant Aqiqah barbecue.
Exactly. Others take a quieter approach, giving raw or cooked meat to those in need, making sure everyone gets to be a part of it.
Whether it's a party or a quiet act of giving, it seems like generosity and community are at the heart of it all.
Absolutely. It's about personal expression and adaptation. No one-size-fits-all approach. What really counts is the intention, that spirit of gratitude and sharing.
It's amazing how Aqiqah manages to find that balance between tradition and personal expression. It's a powerful reminder that faith isn't about rigid rules, but finding those meaningful ways to connect with our community and, well, show gratitude. Speaking of expressing gratitude, our WhatsApp voice note didn't really touch on finances. Is there a typical cost associated with Aqiqah?
Oh, that's a great question. Definitely something to consider. I mean, performing a Aqiqah does involve a financial commitment. The cost, well, it varies quite a bit. Depends on the location, the kind of animal chosen, whether the family decides to host a meal or they distribute the meat directly.
So it's a bit like planning any other celebration. You could have a budget-friendly gathering at home or maybe a more elaborate catered event. It really comes down to what works best for each family, right?
Absolutely. It all goes back to that adaptability that we've been talking about. Families are encouraged to work within their means. The true value of Aqiqah lies in the genuine gratitude and giving thanks, not in spending extravagantly.
I love that perspective. It's so refreshing in a world where celebrations can easily become about keeping up appearances or, showing off.
Yeah, I totally agree. Aqiqah strips everything back to what truly matters. Heartfelt gratitude, and those meaningful connections. Something that struck me while listening to this voice note was how the person speaking effortlessly blended personal stories with religious teachings and even a bit of humor. It felt like we were experiencing a living tradition being passed down, not just listening to dry facts.
Absolutely. It was like getting a glimpse into the heart and soul of a community through those personal stories and experiences. We've definitely covered a lot today, from the meaning and steps involved to the fascinating theological and historical aspects.
Yeah, and we also touched on the social impact and the importance of thinking critically when we approach religious texts. We've really gotten to see the adaptable nature of Islamic practices, all through the lens of Aqiqah.
It's been fascinating. So if we had to distill it all down, what are the key takeaways we want our listener to walk away with? What's the essence of Aqiqah?
I'd say, first and foremost, Aqiqah is this beautiful testament to gratitude and celebrating new life. It strengthens those family and community bonds, weaving together love and support.
It's also a fascinating example of how traditions can adapt and evolve with the times, but still stay true to their core values.
Exactly. And we can't forget the social responsibility aspect woven into the practice of Aqiqah. That understanding that our blessings are meant to be shared and caring for those less fortunate is an integral part of faith.
That's a powerful message, and one that resonates far beyond the Islamic faith.
Definitely. Gratitude, generosity, and community building, those are universal values. And Aqiqah, it offers such a beautiful example of putting those values into action. Now, as we get to the end of our deep dive, I want to leave our listener with something to think about. Could rituals like Aqiqah, with that focus on gratitude and giving, be beneficial in other cultures and contexts?
That is a really interesting question. It makes you wonder what traditions already exist in different cultures to celebrate new life or express gratitude. And even more thought-provoking, could we maybe draw inspiration from Aqiqah to create new rituals that foster that sense of connection and generosity within our own communities?
Now that would be something special. Imagine the possibilities if we embrace that spirit, Aqiqah, the joy of giving thanks, understanding the importance of community, and recognizing our responsibility to care for those in need.
A powerful vision, and it really makes you think about the ripple effect even small acts of kindness and generosity can have, especially in a world that sometimes feels so focused on individualism.
You know, this deep dive wasn't just about understanding Aqiqah as a ritual. It was about sparking that curiosity, prompting reflection, and encouraging our listener to think about their own place within their community and how they choose to express gratitude.
Maybe this episode will inspire someone to research similar traditions from around the world, or even start a conversation with their families about gratitude and giving. Who knows, maybe it'll even inspire someone to just do something kind for their neighbor.
The possibilities are truly endless. And that's what's so wonderful about learning and knowledge. It has the power to transform not only our understanding of the world, but also how we choose to act within it.
Beautifully said. Learning really is a lifelong journey, and it's made all the richer when we seek out different perspectives and embrace those beautiful cultural traditions and practices, like Aqiqah. Well, on that inspiring note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into Aqiqah.
It's been such a pleasure exploring this rich tradition with you and our listener today.
And to our listener, thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. We hope you've gained a deeper understanding and appreciation for the beauty and depth of Aqiqah. But more importantly, we hope it's ignited some reflection on the importance of gratitude, generosity, and community in your own life. Until next time, keep diving deep and stay curious. You know, it's amazing how a simple WhatsApp voice note, like the one we heard, can lead to such a deep understanding of a tradition like Aqiqah. This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the beauty and meaning behind it.
It really has. Aqiqah reminds us how interconnected we all are, even in a world that often feels so individualistic. It shows that a single act of kindness, of generosity, can create these ripples that spread far and wide.
And I think that's what's so special about these deep dives. We don't just learn facts. We hopefully spark something in our listeners. Maybe it's a new interest in exploring different cultures, or maybe it's just a renewed appreciation for the importance of community.
You know, maybe some of our listeners will be inspired to go out and research similar rituals, rituals of gratitude and giving from different cultures around the world. Or perhaps it'll spark a conversation with their families about gratitude and what it means to them.
I love that. Or maybe even inspire someone to do something kind for their neighbor, just because.
It could be anything. The possibilities are endless when you start opening yourself up to new knowledge and new ways of seeing things.
It's true. And it's a great reminder that learning isn't just about filling our heads with facts. It's about changing how we understand the world and ultimately how we choose to act within it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's a lifelong journey, that's for sure. And it's a journey made richer by seeking out different perspectives, embracing the beauty of different cultures and traditions, just like Aqiqah.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of Aqiqah.
It really has been a fascinating exploration.
I've learned so much. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you've come away with a deeper appreciation for Aqiqah, for its beauty and meaning. And even more, we hope it sparks some thoughts about gratitude, generosity, and the importance of community in your own lives. Until next time, keep diving deep and stay curious.